of you have watched Three Idiots film? Three Idiots. Three Idiots. If you know about Three Idiots. क्या था उसका फर्स्ट थिंग?
याद नहीं है।
एरोप्लेन. हाँ, एरोप्लेन. करेक्ट. और
I don't remember the first scene. I remember when he was in the college.
Aeroplane, so he's going, so he gets a call, then he accidentally got a heart attack, and then he makes emergency landing.
Yeah.
With a sort of
I remember. They almost crashed into the tower, right?
It was Farhan who did
I
that.
remember the scene.
So is this the starting of that story of the movie Three Idiots? This scene?
I don't remember that.
No,
It's not the
in
between something, right? So that's what they are showing is a flashback. Then the whole movie events that they showed, they were like showing it as a kuch hua kind of flashback, right? So even in this chapter, don't worry, I will study French Revolution movie. I'm not going to teach you about Three Idiots. One class it was asking me, ma'am, we are going to learn about Three Idiots. No, that's not the case. We are going to study about French Revolution, and in the starting part of this chapter, you have something like flashback. The similar way how they showed in Three Idiots to something जो आगे होने वाला था वो पहले दिखा दिया. In the same manner in this French Revolution chapter also some events that are going to happen in the later part of the chapter are being shown beforehand. Okay, so the day that we are talking here about is 14th July 1789. 89 yes. तो ऐसा ही डेट उधर भी था ना 5 सितंबर वो लोग लिख के आए थे किसी टेरेस के टाकी के ऊपर ये सब those leaders fellows. Yeah, so here also I am writing a date on the board 14th July 1789. Something special happened on this date here in Paris, which is the capital of France. There was a rumor. क्या हो गया था बेटा? एक rumor. कोई और चीज फैले ना फैले सबसे तेज क्या फैलती है? अफवाह. Rumor. Yes, very fast that spreads. And what was the rumor here? That the king is going to kill all the common men. He is going to send his soldiers, and the soldiers are going to kill off many people in the Paris city. When this thing got spreaded, this news came like a wildfire. People were agitated. They were angry. उनको लगा यार ये राजा कौन है जो हमको मारने आ रहा है? They all gathered at a town hall. What is this town hall? A place for assembly. Place where they all assembled. Okay? Who came there? People, public of the Paris. They assembled at town hall, and then they decided to form People's Militia. People's Militia. What do you understand by militia?
A force.
A force, yes. What else? Assembly तो बेटा पहले बन रहा है.
An alliance, like people coming together.
Alliance, okay.
A military.
हाँ, a military like thing. Militia से ही क्या आया है word? Military आएगा ना. So people they all came together and they decided to form a militia. Now naturally these are common men. They don't have all the weapons and all. अब राजा के सोल्जर से लड़ने आएंगे तो if they bring their बेलन लकड़ा चकड़ा then they are not going to win this battle with the soldiers. So naturally they had to collect weapons from somewhere. Now who is going to give them the weapons to fight this battle or this war?
Other countries.
मामूली से पेरिस के लोग हैं बेटा अदर कंट्रीज के पास कहाँ जाके मारते हैं? They all decided to break a fort. This fort was called Bastille. And why this fort? Because this fort had many weapons stored in it.
So they broke into the fort.
Yes, they broke into the fort because they wanted weapons and they could collect the weapons from this fort. You know, every country or every small territory, it has a place where they store all their weapons. So this was a storehouse for weapons for King Louis XVI. So King Louis XVI had kept all his weapons in this fort. They broke into this fort. This event is known as storming of the Bastille Fort. समझ में आ रहा है? Any doubt in this part? किले में तोड़फोड़ किए, अंदर घुस गए, अंदर घुस के वहां से क्या उठाया उन लोगों ने? वेपन्स उठाया. They also killed the commander for the fort. Have you watched this Tanaji movie?
Yes.
तानाजी में वो किले का कमांडर कोई तो था ना, उदय भान. हाँ, उदय भान था ना, राजपूत पर्सन. वो किले का कमांडर था. तो उधर वो उदय भान मर गया, इधर एक बैस्टाइल फोर्ट का कमांडर था, वो मर गया. Okay, so the common people, they killed the commander, they took the weapons. What else they did? They also freed 7 prisoners. Wow, what lucky they are. बिना कुछ किए छूट गए ना, 7 लोग छूट गए.
Criminals को क्यों free करना? Like that is putting dangerous people in the public.
Because these 7 prisoners were prisoned by whom?
King.
और किंग के अगेंस्ट थे ना ये लोग. तो किंग ने जो कुछ भी किया है उसका क्या करेंगे? ऑपोजिट करेंगे. That. Ma'am, they are people only, no? Yeah.
Okay, so they were political prisoners.
Yeah. Sometimes they might have even done a small offense like robbing a piece of bread. But even for such minor offenses, the king used to give them life imprisonment, and that such a tyranny and despotic ruler he was. So the people got angry and they freed these 7 prisoners. Okay. Then और क्या किया इन लोगों ने? The fortress that they broke, this fort, Bastille fort that they broke, इसके बहुत सारे टुकड़े हुए होंगे, छोटे छोटे pieces पड़े होंगे यहाँ. Yes or no? People, yeah, what they did, these pieces of this fort, they purchased it as a souvenir. You go for a birthday party and sometimes you receive a return gift, right? This return gift is like a souvenir. एक ऐसी निशानी की तरह दिया जाता है ना आपके फ्रेंड्स. और वो पेंसिल बॉक्स हो सकता है, कभी कभी टिफिन बॉक्स होता है, कभी कोई पेन ही हो जाए, तो आप क्या करते हो? उसको रखते हो और हमेशा याद करते रहे, हाँ मैं वो प्रीति के बर्थडे पे गई थी ना, उसने मुझे दिया ये. ऐसा. So that's how they took these pieces and then they purchased it and then they kept it as a memento or like a souvenir. Souvenir is something like a निशानी की तरह रखती.
Something to remember.
हाँ, something to remember, because this event that happened on 14 July 1789, this is called storming of Bastille Fort, and it was one of the most significant event of French Revolution. First stepping stone of French Revolution. Now the question arises here कि ये सब हुआ क्यों? Why were the people so angry? Why did they break this fort? And how many people broke this fort? Around 7,000 people. Huh? That also you remember. It's a number that you need to remember. 7,000 people. They formed the people's militia and then they broke this fort. Now what happens?
Because the government was corrupt.
Yeah, the government is corrupt. The government is doing lots of such things that it should not. What is the government doing? Let me use this slide. Tell what is the government doing?
Government is taking too much tax.
The government was giving all of the luxuries for itself and the highest caste and neglecting all the lower castes who were in extreme poverty.
Good.
And heavily taxing them as well.
Yeah,
The poor were becoming more poor and the rich were growing
even richer.
Yes.
Because all the peasants are being heavily taxed while the rich people weren't being taxed at all.
In India, we had caste discrimination. What we had? Caste discrimination. In Europe, what we are going to have? We are going to have
Class.
Yes, very good. Class discrimination. Here in the class, we had how many states? 3 states. The first, the second estate, and the third estate. So, if we are talking about India, we would say caste, and in caste we had 4 different types: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Shudra, and Vaishyas. But when we are talking about Europe, it was about the class. Class means money. Yes or no? So money is distinguishing them between rich and poor. Here are the first 2 estates. Did you finish writing this paper? Shall I erase the board? It's all given in your NCERT. ना कुछ effort लेके मतलब लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है. It is up to you. आप लिखना चाहते हो तो लिखो. I won't stop. But then that's not very necessary. If you read NCERT, you will understand. See, if I talk about Europe, उस समय का जो फ्रांस था, there were 3. You can even, if you use use mobile phone, and if you are busy mobile phone, you can click picture also of this thing. I am not going to stop you for this. Just the thing, if you are clicking the picture, let me know so that I can turn to one side and then it
Because I need the pictures. Yeah. Okay, sounds good.
सबने निकाला फोटो सबको Even if you don't bring your phones, you will have this recorded lectures available on YouTube. If you open up those lectures, see the way you can see it now, what is written on the board, same thing you will be able to see it later on also. From that also you can copy. But these things are necessary for you to remember because this is like a concept map. पूरा चैप्टर याद रखने से अच्छा ये पॉइंट्स याद रख लो, आंसर फ्रेमिंग में आसानी. Okay. Then the first estate here, it was known as clergy. Second estate was known as nobility, and the third estate was known as commoners. Commoners you can call it. Anywhere in your book it does not given, they just say about third estate. But for our better understanding, I use the word commoners.
Isn't that also said peasants?
Peasants, yeah, you can say peasants, commoners. Especially in this group of commoners, we have businessmen, we had peasants, merchants, artisans,
Lawyers,
artisans, lawyers.
Anyone other than a church and the royalty.
Yeah, everyone else. Okay. In nobility, whom we had? We had those people who worked for the king. Yes or no? They helped in the administration of the kingdom. To whom did they help? They helped the king. Okay, but that doesn't mean that king is a part of nobility. King is different.
King is
higher than all of these.
Yeah, the king is higher than all of them. Yes, the religious people will come under the clergy. The saddest part.
I think at that point in Europe it was thought that kings are chosen by God.
Divine right. Absolute monarchism. We'll come to that part also. Here the clergy people, they didn't pay tax. No tax. Nobility, they also didn't pay any tax. No tax for
But the commoners paid very high tax.
They had to pay 3 types of tax that we will discuss in the later part of the chapter. Okay, so commoners had to pay 3 types of tax, whereas the clergy and the nobility people had no responsibility of tax. What else was the situation here is? The clergy and the nobility, that is the second and the first estate, together comprised of only 10% of the population. How much population? 10%.
So most of the people were being scammed.
Yes, 90% population was of the commoners.
And they were being highly taxed.
Highly taxed. And then one more thing, the land, the property, around 60% of the land was owned by these people. That is the first and the second estate people. And hardly some land was left behind for the commoners. In fact, I must say that in those times there were no property rights also. See, today if you have money, you can go and purchase any land if you want, yes or no. Provided the seller is ready to sell it to you, you have money, you can go make the deal and buy that land. But in those days, that was not the situation. Even if you have money, even if you have purchased a land, if the king feels that no, ye land to mera hai, main jaake le lunga, then he would go and he would capture it back. No matter how much efforts not even giving the money back.
Why?
He says
because king is supreme ruler, nothing people can cover.
Divine power. We'll come to
chosen by God. King is chosen by God, nothing common people can do.
Crazy only, what to do? Who is Anurag? You are Anurag, I think. Yeah. Then Ritika, I am Ritika. And then Aditi Agrawal.
Someone absent?
Yeah. Cecily.
I'm pretty sure she does not know Ajbi.
Oh, why?
Last time also for the English class, I think she's having issues with the website, so she was not aware.
Siddhi is one was sitting with me.
Yeah, and she is not aware about this class as well.
Last year I had a girl named Nishika Rai.
That is my sister.
Your sister?
Yes.
As soon as I saw the surname Rai and the voice, your voice also was similar like her. I could remember Nishika. Good. How is she? What is she doing now?
She took PCB this year
Okay.
and she switched to Polar.
Yes. Let's move further. This was the situation back then in 18th century, late 18th century situation. Now let's move, let's see.
All this led to Robespierre guillotining like thousands of people.
Jacobin Club, you have studied the chapter.
No, I haven't studied the chapter. I love history.
You love history, very good.
History is like SST overall is the only thing I cannot study for and still score in exam.
Good, very nice. Now see, this king whom I am talking about, this king's name is Louis XVI.
I'm sorry, all of this is like a flashback going on.
Yeah, this is everything like flashback तो वो हो गया था. That starting part में Bastille Fort,
right?
Bastille Fort that we are
That was in the future.
जो आगे होने वाला है वो हमको पहले बता दिया गया. अब हमको बता रहे हैं that why that whole thing happened.
Why that
This
happened?
is the reason.
Like it
That
basically
is how the
showed
society.
a major event, and now it will show why that.
Why that event?
So something that happened in the future is also flashback.
No, that's
No,
flash
that's
forward.
not a flashback.
Flashback is over. Now we are studying the present of
flashback
18th century.
So basically, what happened? They showed us like the major event happened, the major event of this chapter. Now we're gonna see why that event happened. First, they told us the event. Now we'll see why that happened. So the events preceding that event.
Okay, let me explain. So जो हो चुका है बेटा उसका रीजनिंग दे रहे हैं बेसिकली कि ऐसा सब क्यों हुआ. I'll explain well. Now, King Louis XVI ने क्या किया था बेटा?
Married some.
शादी करी थी उसने. किससे शादी करी?
Austrian princess.
Mary Antoinette.
Mary Antoinette.
कहाँ की थी वो? Austria.
Austria.
Now Austria is different from Australia.
Yes.
Don't get confused. This is Europe का हिस्सा. Then after marrying her, he became the king.
The Austria.
He became king at the age of 20 years.
Yes.
And this time period when he became the king, that is 1774. Now once he became the king, there is something that is very bad that is going to happen to him. This king was a person with an empty treasury. इसके पास क्या नहीं था बेटा? पैसे नहीं था. He was completely empty of his treasury. Now why this treasury was empty? See, you can see here, people, commoners, third estate people are paying tax. They are paying how much tax? 3 types of tax, and 90% of the population is paying the tax. Still, this king is having empty treasury.
And he was funding American freedom struggle.
Yes.
I'll just take a picture of this one.
Yeah, take it.
I just ended up making
Let the whole board get filled up and then you all click one pic, okay? Otherwise, simply there will be multiple pictures in your gallery and then you won't understand kya se kya tha, okay? See, now this empty treasury, now nobody is going to write anything. Look at the board. इतने में वरना पूरा ध्यान चला जाएगा और मैं यहाँ पूरा पुराण बोल के निकल जाऊंगी, कुछ ध्यान नहीं रहेगा. Yeah? See, listen. Now, empty treasury के कुछ reasons थे. First, multiple wars. When two countries are constantly fighting or one country is constantly at a war with multiple different countries, then what happens? People are constantly involved in the war. They are fighting on the border. Even the peasants, the artisans and the workers, they are directing their energy
And war
towards
is
the
very,
war.
very costly.
Yeah, and having a warfare, you need lots of weapons, you need funding. तो उसमें क्या हो जाएगा? पैसा खर्चा हो जाएगा. And the artisans, peasants who are doing actual productive work for your country, they are also engaged in the warfare.
And they're being killed in the war.
Yeah, and they are not producing anything at that time. When they are not involved in the production manufacturing work, then what they will go and sell? Nothing. If they are not selling anything, they are not getting money. When they are not getting money, they are not paying tax. And when they are not paying the tax, क्या खाली हो जाएगा?
I think another reason was because the king's lifestyle was so luxurious, he was constantly spending way too
We
much
like
money.
to party.
Yes, just partying all the time.
I'm coming to that part also. I'm coming. See, after what second point that you are going to remember is the lifestyle. Right, the lifestyle. So style को भी तो समझना है. That's lifestyle. किंग को क्या करना था? किंग
बहुत
को
खर्च करता था।
पेरिस की क्या पैलेस ऑफ वर्सलिस में रहता था और उसका खर्चा उसका मेंटेनेंस इट वाज वेरी हाई इवन इन टुडेज डेट यू ओपन एंड सी राष्ट्रपति भवन का मेंटेनेंस में कितना सारा पैसा जाता है सो एट दैट टाइम मेंटेनिंग दिस रिच कल्चर है तो किंग ना किंग तो अपने ठाट बाट में ही रहेगा
Basically, he was living like gods for the rest of the people were suffering.
या उसके थाली में 56 भोग हुआ करते थे और बेचारे गांव वाले थे 2 वक्त की रोटी के लिए मर रहे थे दैट वाज द सिचुएशन So his luxurious lifestyle was also having a lot of effect on this treasury. Now third point, अब जब तुम्हारी नैया इतनी डूब रही है तो तुम्हें दूसरों के काम में टांग नहीं अड़ाना चाहिए ना लेकिन नहीं इसको तो अपने घर से अपने काम में मनी नहीं लगता था वो अमेरिका के 13 कॉलोनीज को ब्रिटेन से फ्रीडम दिलाने में बहुत ज्यादा इंटरेस्टेड हो गया अब अमेरिका का क्या जाता है भाई कोई आके मेरे को फुकट में हेल्प कर रहा है तो करो अमेरिका वाज लाइक ओके कंटिन्यू अमेरिका को कौन हेल्प कर रहा है किंग लुइस 16 कहां का है किंग फ्रांस का है अमेरिका को हेल्प कर रहा है America is trying to get rid of British people who had captured America.
At that time, France and Britain were rivals.
Rivals.
That's why France was helping the US.
Yeah. ब्रिटेन और फ्रांस की ना पहले से ही कभी नहीं बनी है बेटा ऑलवेज दे वर एट वॉर विद वन अनदर हमेशा एक को लगता था मैं दूसरे से
आगे longest wars ever was 100 years war
100 years war very very so ब्रिटेन और फ्रांस के झगड़े में किसका फायदा हो रहा है अमेरिका एंड हु इज एट द लॉस और फ्रांस इज एट द लॉस ये अगर आप उसको फंड कर रहे हो इस वॉर में इफ यू आर हेल्पिंग अमेरिका देन नेचुरली व्हाट द किंग वुड बी नीडिंग मनी और मनी उसको कैसे मिलेगा डेब्ट्स लोन कर रखा था उसने हाई डेब्ट्स ले रखे थे और ये डेब्ट्स अगर आप लेते हो देन यू हैव टू पे इंटरेस्ट यस और नो नोबडी इज गोइंग टू गिव मनी फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट तो प्रोबेबली दोस टाइम में जो रिच मर्चेंट्स थे और अदर रिच कंट्रीज दे मस्ट हैव गिवन हिम लोन एंड दे चार्ज हिम इंटरेस्ट ऑफ अराउंड 10% कितने का इंटरेस्ट था 10% का इंटरेस्ट था and this interest rate which was initially you know whatever amount he had taken that was 1 billion livres
Livres was the currency.
Yeah, livres was the currency. Now in India we have rupee as the currency. In that time France we had livres as the currency.
I thought it was always euros.
No.
Why would it always be euro?
I don't know. It's euro.
Yes,
Euro,
but like
yes.
you see, the European Union was created last century. But before that, obviously, all the countries are different currencies.
Now what happened ये 1 billion बढ़ के इंटरेस्ट चढ़ के कितना हो गया था अब ये 2 बिलियन हो गया था
It's already 2 billion. Like
पहले जब लिया था तो इतने का लोन लिया था अब इसका इंटरेस्ट रेट बढ़ाकर कितना हो गया
टाइम
है
तक नहीं पे किया
नहीं पे किया था पैसा ही नहीं आया राजा बन गया
All talk about all these expenses. I think France gifted Tower of Liberty to US.
Yes.
स्टैच्यू ऑफ लिबर्टी कॉपर का बना के उनको दे रहा है खुद की नहीं
Smart decision.
खुद की नहीं है Statue of Liberty अमेरिका को दे रहा है.
अमेरिका को गिफ्ट देके चलना
और अमेरिका का फ्रीडम से उनको कुछ फायदा ही नहीं हुआ.
उनको फायदा नहीं था इसका नुकसान था इसी में खुशी हो गई थी क्रेजी पीपल देन इतना सब तो है बेटा एक और रीजन भी है इसका तिजोरी खाली होने के पीछे एंड दैट इज the salary that he was paying to his officers or the universities or the government offices that he was maintaining
Yes.
उन सब का भी तो खर्चा इसी तिजोरी पे पड़ेगा ना बेटा पहले ही खाली पड़ी है ऊपर से ये सारे खर्चे भी आ गए मान लो कोई हॉस्पिटल वगैरह चला रहा हो गवर्नमेंट का तो इन सब का खर्चा भी किसको भरना है इसी एम्प्टी ट्रेजरी से द किंग हैज टू पे और इस ट्रेजरी में पैसे नहीं आ रहे इतने सारे खर्चे बढ़ गए सो व्हेनेवर दिस क्वेश्चन कम्स इन योर पेपर दैट स्टेट द रीजन for King Louis XVI's empty treasury. All these 5 points should be there in your answer. Okay? Then, moving further.
I'll write down the points for the
Okay.
treasury.
Right.
Take a picture.
You cannot just take pictures of everything. You're in the lecture, at least write something.
Then next, what we are going to study is the 3 taxes that these people are asked to be paying. What taxes they were paying? Commoners को ये सारे tax भरने थे, right? So commoners were paying 3 types of taxes. First tax was known as tithe. Then the second tax was known as pay. And the third tax was known as indirect tax. Tithe was a type of a religious tax.
It was paid to the clergy.
Clergy or the churches, okay?
Yes.
Imagine the poor are paying.
Ma'am, but that's not going to the king, right?
No, that's not going to the king.
That's
How
going
is the
to
king responsible for this?
Because he's allowing them. King is the
King is
absolute
supreme.
ruler, no beta.
Queen is supreme.
And
Even
even
above
that,
charge.
even in spite of being the supreme ruler, if he's allowing these things, that means he has given his sanction for the church people to collect these taxes. Yes, no?
Yeah.
These clergy people, what they used to say, pay 10% of your annual income towards the church. Now the income may be in any form. It could
So
be
what
money.
if people don't follow the religion altogether? They stop.
वो ना बात में.
It doesn't matter what if you are religious or not. You have to pay the tax if you live in France.
If I don't go to mandir, why would I give them dhan?
Because that's
Let me explain. See, in that time we didn't have multiple religions.
Yeah.
In India we have Christian, Sikh, Parsi. ये नहीं अच्छा लगा वो कर लो, वो अच्छा नहीं लगा ये कर लो. Yeah, nobody asks you because India is a secular country. But in those times we had the king as the Louis XVI and he was a Qatar का supporter, you know, of that France जो Rome's में जो ये Catholic Church है ना, they were good supporter. So any person who resides in France has to follow Christianity. And they are following Christianity, then they have to pay this tax. And if you don't follow Christianity, let's say, suppose if you feel that why should I pay this 10% tax? I'm not going to follow Christianity, I'm not going to visit the churches, I'm happy back sitting at my home, then that's not going to work out. Because other people, those with whom you are staying in a society, they will boycott you. Are you getting me?
Okay, so too much pressure.
Too much societal pressure.
So the society, the commoners all may stand
Not
up
the
for each other.
commoners, not commoners. The nobility and the clergy will make your life hell. They will not let you purchase vegetable from the vegetable vendor. They will not let you go to schools. They will not let you go to your work. Nobody will give you their land to till. You will have to compulsorily do what others are doing. Then only you will be the part of French society, or else you will be outcast.
That is.
Yeah, that is the reason that they had to agree to this and pay this.
That's torture.
And you know what they used to say, these churchmen or this clergymen, they used to tell कि बाइबल में लिखा है कि 10% आप जो कुछ भी कमाते हो वो उठा के क्या करो, दान में दे दो. या बाइबल में लिखा है, but बाइबल में किस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में लिखा है? If you are having 10 chapatis prepared with you, give one as a charity or donation and leave rest of the nine. That is what Bible says and that is applicable, agreeable also. कुछ हमारे पास है उसमें से थोड़ा अगर हम चैरिटी या डोनेशन करते हैं then that's okay. But what these people are asking, उन्होंने पूरा अर्थ ही बदल दिया, अर्थ का अनर्थ कर दिया. जितना भी कमाते हो उसमें से कितना दे दो, 10%. That's not acceptable, no. The food that we are eating in our plate, उसमें से 2 या 3 morsel देना एक अलग बात है. और अपनी पूरी सैलरी में से ही 10% उठा के दे देना या पूरा एग्रीकल्चरल प्रोड्यूस जो है उसका 10% देना, it's a big deal.
If you have surplus, then you give.
Yeah, if you have something, then you can give. If you are forcing someone, then they are making that person's life hell. That the clergies were doing this thing in the name of religious
Religious taxes.
That's called tithe. Then comes the tail, that's the direct tax. Now what is this direct tax? You all have seen your parents are working and in return they are paying the income tax. Yes or no? The income tax that they pay to the government.
Yes.
This was the same thing. Today in India we are having Indian government, so the tax that your parents are paying goes to the Indian government. But this tail tax, in those times, France was under the rule of king, so this direct tax will go to the king's treasury. Are you getting me?
Yes.
Okay.
Then comes the indirect tax. Indirect tax is something you can consider. Suppose now if you are going to a good restaurant, I won't say a very lavish one, but a good restaurant to eat your food or something, you end up paying GST. Yes or no?
Yeah.
GST is again two types, CST and GCST, something like 2-3
SGST.
Yeah. State का अलग है, central government का अलग है. That's what. Yeah, two types they are paying. So this is what something that you ate the food and then you are ending up paying more money for that food. Yes or no? Are you paying this tax directly? No. You are paying your the amount that whatever money you are paying it for the food that you are purchasing. But the tax amount from that money is getting and cutting off and it is going to the king. That is an indirect tax. Are you getting me? अगर आप पैसे मनी को लेकर डायरेक्टली किंग को पे कर रहे हो, then that is a form of direct tax. Now, if this money you are paying for some food or let's say a particular goods or let's say clothing, whatever.
So you're paying for some services.
Yeah, or some services, anything. And then इसमें से जो पैसा आया है उसका a part of it is going to the king. Then that is called indirect tax. Okay. So indirect tax was applied on regular livelihood food like salt, tobacco. See, on today's date, we know that tobacco is a addictive substance. We shouldn't eat that. उससे cancer होता है and all these things we know now. But in those times, people were not aware of these things. उनके लिए रोजमर्रा की चीज थी बेटा ये तंबाकू खाना. जितना नमक खाते थे उतना ही तंबाकू भी खाते थे. Yeah, and that's the reason the king had put indirect tax over these things and other such things also, other such grocery items also. And they used to end up paying indirect tax. किसको जाता था ये पैसा? King के पास. Am I clear?
Yes.
How do you pronounce the second tax?
Tail.
Tail.
The other L and E is silent thing.
Oh.
It ends up like being a pronunciation for tail.
It's in French, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Assuming that you have copied this triangle,
Yes.
I'm erasing.
There is no name for the indirect tax, right?
No name. No. Now, the first and the second estate, they were given the privileges on the basis of their birth.
If you're born in a good family, life will be good.
Yeah, if you are born to a commoner's family, तो गया जिंदगी भर लटके रहो. हाँ, that was the thing. If you are born to the first estate and the second estate, then your life is 100% set, no matter how big fool you are. हाँ, कुछ समझ में नहीं आता है तो भी क्या होगी उनकी जिंदगी बेस्ट एंड बेस्ट होगी. और अगर कॉमनर है, बहुत इंटेलिजेंट है, सब कुछ समझ में आ रहा है तो भी उसकी जिंदगी क्या होगी? बहुत खराब होगी. बेटा इतना मत लिखो ना. इतना मत लिखो, मेरा हाथ दर्द कर रहा है. मत लिखो. फोटो खींच लेना बाद में, है ना, फोन है ना तेरे पास, ले लो उससे. जब आप लिख रहे हो ना तो आप मेरी बातें कम सुनते हो और सुनी हुई चीजें ज्यादा अच्छे से याद रहती है. ठीक है, तो कहानी की तरह सुन लो, बाद में देखेंगे. नोट्स तो क्या बनते रहेंगे, है ना, इस पे इसको निकाल के देख लो, उसमें भी आपको नोट्स मिल जाएगा. ओके. Now these two estates they were getting privileges based on their birth. अगर आप अमीर घर में पैदा हो गया, क्लर्जी के ग्रुप में पैदा हो गए, नोबिलिटी के ग्रुप में पैदा हो गए, तो जिंदगी भर आपकी लाइफ क्या होगी? पैसे के साथ हो गया. पैसा इनके पास ज्यादा क्यों था? The major reason that they are not paying any tax. The one who are, whatever they are earning, everything is for themselves only. They are not paying any tax.
Worst part is that the first and second minister they didn't even work and yet they were so rich. And while the working class are the ones who are also very rich.
कहते हैं ना साथ पुश्ते बैठ के खाएंगे इतना पैसा हुआ
They're just partying all the time.
Yeah, party. Then they were also having a privilege of collecting feudal dues. Do you know what is this feudal system? Feudal dues?
Never heard of.
I've heard of it, but I think I forgot what it means.
Feudal system. पहले तो समझो feudal system क्या है. Very important thing. It will come haunting every now and then in some or the other chapter. So who is the king? King is the absolute ruler. तो इसके पास क्या है?
Lower class.
इसको क्या? इसके पास सारा क्या है? टेरिटरी का सारा लैंड इसी के पास है. He is the owner of every land in the
The
territory.
entire country, kingdom of France.
Yes, entire France इसके पास. तो अब ये जो इतना जमीन है, क्या राजा खुद उस पे काम करने भागा जाएगा हर जमीन पर? No, impossible. वैसे तो दुनिया का सबसे आलसी आदमी होता है तो कुछ काम करेगा नहीं. So what he will do? He will distribute this land to dukes and duchess. Have you heard these names?
Yes.
What are they?
They are like lord and lady. They are landowners, or they own the particular piece of land to cultivate on it.
Yeah, they are the owner. But how come they became the owner?
They buy it from the king.
No,
Being in close relation with
it is inherited, right?
Inherited, or they are in some relation with
They
the
are
king.
appointed by the king or they inherited from the previous
See, if
king.
I say duke, then that means prince. Aam language mein prince and
Basically, they
princess.
either they inherited from the parents or they were appointed by the king.
Yeah, either they are inheriting this land or they are appointed. अब चचेरा भाई भी हो सकता है, मौसेरा भाई भी हो सकता है राजा का. तो वो लोग क्या करेंगे? ड्यूक और डचेस बनकर they will be holding some part of the land. Now let's say in a diagrammatic form, if I tell you, then this is whole of the France. Let's consider. ये पूरा क्या है? France है. And the king has divided this land into 4 parts. One duke, one duchess, one duke, one duchess. He has given this land. Okay. Now ये dukes and duchess भी खुद तो काम नहीं करेंगी. They will again distribute the land into barons and earls. These are also posts. Like duke and duchess. ये भी क्या है? Post है. So further this land is getting divided into barons and earls. But ये barons and earls
baron is for male and all this.
nothing like that. Both are for male only. It depends on the one's social status in the society that they are given.
Only
the name
high
barons.
class women were able to own something. Right?
Yeah, the duchesses, the princesses.
That
they
is
were only.
all.
For barons and earls, there is no money.
And then this barons and earls क्या करेंगे? ये भी तो क्या है? They are subordinate to the prince and princess, no? But still they are quite rich. They are having money. तो ये तो खुद काम करने से है. They will give the land again to whom? To the knights. Knights का कभी एक इमेज देखा है आप? घोड़े पे एक आदमी बैठा रहता है, हाथ में एक स्वॉर्ड रहता है, एक टोपी वो डगमगाती रहती है. तो वो कौन है? वो नाइट्स है. तो ये अर्ल्स एंड barons क्या करेंगे? इस जमीन को वापस से नाइट में दे देंगे. तो इस छोटा सा किसके पास है? नाइट के पास है. Now these knights, what they will do? They will give this land to the peasant.
But knights are also very respected.
Yeah.
So everyone is lazy other than peasants.
Everyone. Yes, correct.
Knights has been only the
And peasants is the only one that actually doesn't own any land. They work for the people who own the land.
Knights only for the like not all of them, right? Not all soldiers, just the people in a higher post.
Higher
Like
post
commanders.
soldiers. Yeah, they will go and they will bring these peasants. They put them to work, and what
What the
they
normal soldiers like?
they will fight for the king.
Like
Very
not
good to
all
go
men.
and
No, they're not all soldiers can be called as a knight. Only some soldiers are given this respected position of a knight. Okay?
Other soldiers work in army.
हाँ, अब देखो अदर सोल्जर्स की भी कहानी है. Peasants and farmers, what they are doing now, they are working on this land. Okay. Now after working on this land, peasants and farmers are cultivating some of the other agricultural produce. अब ये agricultural produce को इन लोगों से कौन छीन लेगा? Knights छीन लेगा. बोलेगा इतना सारा तूने जो इधर उगाया है ना, वो तुमको मेरे को देना पड़ेगा. क्यों? क्योंकि तेरी जमीन मैंने तुमको दी है. तो इसमें से जो भी उपज आएगा, whatever the agriculture produce is coming, everything will have to hand over to the knight. And what the knight will do, knight will give them only some food, जिससे कि वो जैसे तैसे 2 वक्त का खाना खा सके, और एक छोटी सी झोपड़ी देंगे जिसके अंदर वो लोग रहते हैं. Okay, a small hut and 2 times food. And for all that, they are working for so hard, full day, these peasants and farmers. And then whatever money this knight gets, no, he will keep some amount of money with him, and the rest of the money he will give it to the barons and the earls. क्योंकि knight को जमीन कहाँ से मिली है? He has received this जमीन from barons and earls. तो ये पैसा थोड़ा सा रखकर किसको देगा? Barons and earls. अब ये पैसा रखने के पीछे what reason the knight will say that I have maintained an army for the king. तो ये आर्मी मेंटेन करने के लिए मुझे क्या चाहिए? पैसा चाहिए. आर्मी में जो सोल्जर्स हैं उनको सैलरी देनी पड़ेगी. To give them this salary, I need that money, so I have taken that money. अब ये पैसा जाएगा किसके पास बचा हुआ? It will go to the barons and earls. They will also keep some money, and they said the reason that we are also maintaining a small troop of army. Then again, the leftover money is given to whom? The dukes and the duchess. Dukes and duchess will also cite the same reason that we are also maintaining army, a small troop of army. And then again, the money is getting deducted. और बाकी का बचा पैसा किसके पास जाएगा? किंग के पास. अब आप खुद सोचो, अगर बीच के इतने सारे एजेंट से पैसा खा जाते हैं, तो किंग के पास एम्प्टी ट्रेजरी होगी ना.
So if so much of the money is eaten up by the lower classes, king will barely in the end barely end up getting anything.
कुछ भी नहीं बचेगा उसके पास. सारा पैसा तो ये खा ले, ये खा ले, ये खा ले, ना ये खाए ना ये भी खा पाए. And the king was pressurized to maintain this feudal system. क्योंकि अगर किंग ने ये feudal system हटा दिया, तो क्या हो जाएगा? ये बीच के जो भी एजेंट्स हैं, the dukes, barons, knights, they will all lose their power. Their power is because of this money and because of this army. And if the king removes all these people, they will be moneyless, they will be armyless. In this agitation, in this anger, they will form a group and they will revolt against the king. Are you getting me?
Isn't that what happened at the end?
In fact, worse than that happened. Yeah. तो इन लोगों को उसको क्या करना पड़ता था? जबरदस्ती पावर में रखना पड़ता था. कभी कभी किंग ने सोचा होगा, यार ये बीच के एजेंट इतना पैसा खा रहे, क्यों ना इनको हटाकर मैं डायरेक्टली पेजेंट से क्या करूं? टैक्स कलेक्ट करना शुरू करूं. बट उसका ये भी नहीं हो पाया. नाउ सेकेंडली, व्हाई ही यूज्ड टू व्हाई दिस फ्यूडल सिस्टम स्टार्टेड? बिकॉज़ द किंग ऑलवेज थॉट दैट ये जो आर्मी होगी ना, आर्मी को तो साल भर पैसा देना पड़ेगा, बट वी आर नॉट फाइटिंग द वॉर फॉर द होल ईयर. यस और नो? इन फ्रांस एंड ऑल देयर आर लॉट्स ऑफ सच टाइम पीरियड व्हेन देयर इज हेवी हेल स्टॉर्म्स. बहुत ज्यादा बर्फ की बारिश हो जाती है. इन दोस टाइम पीरियड दे डोंट फाइट वॉर एंड ऑल. तो ऐसे टाइम पे भी फिर सैलरी देनी पड़ेगी इस आर्मी को. तो इससे अच्छा है कि ये आर्मी मैं खुद मेंटेन ही ना करूं, मैं अपने बीच के एजेंट्स के पास ये आर्मी रख दूंगा, वो खुद टैकल कर लेंगे उस आर्मी के साथ. So I will be tension free. This is what the king thought. But later on, how the event turns, it turns against him only. उसके ही फेवर के बाहर चले जाते हैं चीजें. Okay? तो उसी के अगेंस्ट ये सारे लोग खड़े हो जाएंगे. अगर उसने इन सबको पावर पे से हटाने की कोशिश की, what will they will do? The dukes, the barons, earls, knights, they will all come together. They'll bring their army also together. और किसको धमकी देंगे? किंग को ही धमकी देंगे. तो अब उस पर क्या हो चुका था? प्रेशर था कि उसको ये फ्यूडल सिस्टम क्या करना पड़ रहा था? मेंटेन करना पड़ रहा था. और ये फ्यूडल सिस्टम में ये जो मनी कलेक्टिंग लोग हैं ना, ड्यूक्स, barons, princes, earls, barons, knights, they all belong to only the first and the second estate. None of them who are in the money collecting post or the duke collecting position belong to the commoner group.
So what about the big businessmen?
They had their own business. करने तो उनका बिजनेस, उनको इसमें से कोई पैसा वैसा नहीं मिलता था. Okay,
so they were common people. The business.
Commoners are many people who they are businessmen also, they are the peasants also, they are all those who do not belong to the nobility and the clergy.
So I think over here businessman doesn't mean like a very sophisticated business, like business like a
छोटा मोटा
business.
कोई कुछ
Small shop.
Big businessmen as well.
Big businessman also उस टाइम पे कितना बिजनेस करेगा?
I'm like in
बड़े
the
industries.
third estate, the 3 parts.
Yeah, third estate also has 3 parts. Of them, the little forward and the money-oriented people were the big businessmen, lawyers, and merchants and all. But if you consider इस टाइम पे अभी तक इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन नहीं हुआ है, तो बिग बिजनेसमैन भी कितना बिग है that you can make it out.
दो दुकान.
The big businessman and the small is.
Yeah. Is the thing clear up till here? Any doubts? Shall we move ahead?
Yes.
Now. Any photo if you want to take it so that I can rub the board.
I'm very
Get
happy
it from the lecture
finally.
video.
Finally, we are learning world history. So just thank you.
Done?
Yes.
Come here.
Lecture video still eating.
Yeah. Now, when people are not having right to any feudal dues and there is lots of discrepancy, inequality in the whole system, you can see monetarily people or the one class of people are kept behind. Naturally, there is lot of anger in the minds of the people. Besides that, one more situation arises here is the population. Suddenly, the population increases with around 50 lakh people within 64 years. कितने सालों में बढ़ जाता है बेटा? 64 years में population कितना हो गया? 50 lakh लोगों से, that is 5 million people से population बढ़ जाती है. The population in 1715 and the population if you compare with 1789, then this population in 1715 was 23 million. And in this period it became 28 million. So you can clearly see the population has increased to 5 million, which means 50 lakhs. Now if the population is increasing, your agricultural productivity also has to be increased. क्योंकि इतने लोगों को खाना भी तो चाहिए ना बेटा, खाना तो मिलेगा नहीं इन लोगों को. क्यों नहीं मिल रहा है? Because agricultural production was low. Agricultural production was constant. Now when agricultural production is low, population has increased, then demand also increases. When the demand is high and the supply is low, what happens?
The price increase.
Prices increase, that is inflation happens. Yes or no? Inflation हो जाता है, that is high prices. Now, okay, high prices हो रहे हैं food stuff के, agree, but at least उसके साथ साथ are the workers getting high wages? No. Workers' wages is also what? It is constant. ना बढ़ा है ना घटा है. वो कौन सा कैसा था? That was constant. That was remaining constant. Now will these workers in the sense the common man, okay? Will this common man be able to purchase this high prices wala food? No. They didn't have money only to purchase this. Whatever money they earned, initially it was all getting spent up in purchasing this food. फिर भी prices क्या हो रहे थे? High ही होते जा रहे थे. तो पूरी की पूरी salary भी दे दो, तब भी खाना खरीद पा रहे थे क्या लोग? नहीं.
I think there's some point in time where like even like food like bread was like costing like in the lakhs of the currency, while the nobility and higher classes they were just had surplus of the bread and they were giving.
Yeah. And for us, what is our staple diet? Our staple diet is rice, चावल, रोटी, yes or no? चपाती and all. But ये फ्रांस के लोग हैं ना, तो क्या खाएंगे बेटा?
Bread.
Bread. Their staple food was bread, and they were not having enough money to purchase this staple diet for themselves. This type of situation where you are struggling for your existence, what is happening here? Struggle for existence, struggle for survival. This type of situation is known as subsistence crisis. That is, they are hardly having any money for their own survival. They are hardly having any money for their livelihood. कमाए हैं बेचारे, मेहनत कर रहे हैं, लेकिन फिर भी हाथ में पैसा उतना आ ही नहीं रहा है कि जिससे वो खाने की पीने की चीजें खरीद सके.
It gets too warm.
What?
It gets too warm. You do this in every class.
So this is subsistence crisis wherein people were struggling for their survival. Now next, moving to the next part. With this we have completed till page number 5 NCERT. I hope you all are with me. Okay. अब क्या हो रहा है? Rich are getting more richer and the poor is getting more poorer. Then what is happening? The gap between the rich and the poor is becoming wide. बहुत ज्यादा गैप हो जाएगा तो रिच क्या हो जाएंगे, ज्यादा रिच, और पुअर क्या हो जाएंगे, ज्यादा पुअर होते जाएंगे. तो ऐसे में सोसाइटी में क्या फ्रस्ट्रेशन बढ़ेगा. Yes, people will be frustrated. No matter how well I work, if I'm not earning in order to at least provide myself for my survival, then naturally people will be having frustration in them, anger in them. But in this same time period, there was a class of people, a commoners जब मैं लिखती हूँ, that is the third estate, that didn't have only the peasants and farmers and the poor people. Yes or no? It also had manufacturers. It also comprised of traders, administrative officers, lawyers and businessmen. Yes or no? तो ये सारे लोगों ने क्या सोचा, अगर हम फ्रांस में ही रहे ना तो सड़ते रहेंगे, खाने पीने के लिए तो कुछ मिल नहीं रहा है, प्राइसेस क्या हो रहे हैं, बढ़ रहे हैं, पैसा हाथ में आ नहीं रहा है, तो ऐसे में हमको क्या करना चाहिए, वी शुड मूव आउट ऑफ फ्रांस. हम रहेंगे फ्रांस में ही, लेकिन हमारा जो बिजनेस है, जो ट्रेडिंग एक्टिविटीज है, वो हम फ्रांस के बाहर जाके करेंगे, क्योंकि फ्रांस में तो लोगों के पास पैसे ही नहीं है खाना खरीदने के लिए, वो कपड़े जेवर वगैरह क्यों खरीदने लगे. यस और नो? Those things are luxury items. First priority is food. People here are not having money to purchase their food. Then let's go and start our trade overseas. क्या किया उन लोगों ने, दूसरे कंट्रीज से साथ ट्रेड शुरू किया. किन किन कॉमनर्स ने किया ये, मैन्युफैक्चरर्स, merchants, businessmen, lawyers and administrative.
Lawyers, they can always be in business, right?
No,
Even if the country is poor, like people are always having feuds, people are always getting
suppose two people are fighting, okay, they need a lawyer. Lawyer will ask them to pay fees. They don't have fees, what will they do? They'll fight among themselves, and once they are tired, they'll go back home. That's what is happening in France right now. Okay, so lawyers के पास भी पैसा नहीं था, तो अब वो लड़ाई सुलझाने के लिए क्या फ्रांस में ही बैठे रहेंगे, नहीं. लॉयर्स का काम तो कहीं पर भी हो सकता है. यस और नो? सो दे आल्सो शिफ्टेड. दे टोल्ड ओके, अगर फ्रांस में हमको पैसा नहीं मिल रहा, फ्रांस के लोग लड़ाई झगड़ा करके हमको पैसा नहीं दे रहे हैं, तो हम कहीं और जाते हैं, ब्रिटेन चले जाएंगे, वहां से पैसा आएगा, ऑस्ट्रिया चले जाएंगे, वहां पे लोग झगड़ रहे, उनके झगड़े सॉल्व करके पैसा कमाएंगे. Okay, that's what they thought. And then administrative officers, ये वैसे भी क्या है, administrative officers के पास तो पैसा रहेगा ही, क्योंकि उनको कहाँ से सैलरी मिल रही है, किंग से मिल रही है. ज्यादा तो नहीं है इनकी सैलरी, कम ही है, लेकिन रेगुलर सैलरी है. तो ये भी क्या करेंगे, ये भी कुछ ना कुछ साइड बिजनेस स्टार्ट करेंगे, जिससे कि वो बाहर जाकर यानी ओवरसीज कंट्रीज में जाकर दे कैन ट्रेड एंड अर्न सम मोर मनी सो दैट दे कैन ब्रिंग फूड फॉर देयर फैमिली. So अभी सैलरी तो क्या हो ही नहीं है ना, it's not getting sufficient, so they need to earn extra money. So for this extra money, administrative officers also started overseas trade. अब जब overseas trade किया ना, तो बच्चा सच में पैसा आया, मनी के पैसा बढ़ने लग गया, किसके पास, कॉमनर्स यानी थर्ड स्टेट के ये सारी ग्रुप ऑफ लोगों के पास. ओके, am I clear till this part? अब जब पैसा आने लग गया, तो पैसे का क्या करोगे, what will you do of the money that you get?
You will buy the things in France that you were not able to access before.
Food first
Yeah,
thing. Food के लिए तो बहुत सारा पैसा होगा. Next, clothes. अभी उसके बाद
कार्ड्स नहीं होते थे पहले.
then
houses.
then
Land.
let me break the ice.
Land.
You will also start getting education
Okay.
for yourself. See, in today's India, you have RTE, right to education. Free and compulsory education is given to you by your state government between 6 to 14 years of age. But this is the era of France. France में भी कब का बात कर रही हूँ मैं, 18th century. The late 18th century में education was only a luxury. It was just a privilege. Only some could afford that. not everyone. So what they started doing, पहले पैसा कमाया, पैसे का इन्वेस्टमेंट बहुत अलग अलग जगहों पे किया, फिर भी जब पैसा बच गया तो उन्होंने क्या किया, उससे एजुकेशन लेना शुरू किया.
Future generations can.
Yes, एजुकेशन से क्या मिलते हैं बेटा,
Ideas.
आइडियाज. आइडियाज देने वाले आदमी को क्या बोलेंगे,
Philosopher.
philosopher. Now we will be discussing about the 3 philosophers of France. First one is John Locke, and he is Locke, not Locke. भिंडी टिंडी मत बुलाना इसको. ये कौन है, John Locke है. John Locke, he wrote a book called Two Treatises of Government. In this book he said कि आप जो लोग हो ना, आम जनता, कॉमनर्स, थर्ड स्टेट फ्रांस के, आपके पास एजुकेशन नहीं है. एजुकेशन नहीं है तो आपको क्या लगता है, राजा क्या है, he has got divine right. They were not having education ना बेटा, because of lack of education they were what, they were illiterate. और illiterate लोगों से कुछ भी कहा जाए तो वो बहुत जल्दी से उसको accept कर लेते हैं, because they don't have that moral thinking to differentiate between what is correct and what is wrong. So किसी भी illiterate आदमी से कुछ भी कह दो तो वो बहुत आसानी से मान जाते हैं, और Louis XVI इसी का फायदा उठा रहा था. Most of the commoners, I'm not saying all, most of the commoners, they were lacking education, and that is why they felt king has the divine right to rule. वो जो भी बोल रहा है, जो भी कर रहा है, किसकी वजह से कर रहा है, राजा की वजह से कर रहा है. राजा भगवान की वजह से एग्जिस्ट करते हैं, और सारी बातें किसके कहने पर वो कर रहा है, भगवान के कहने पर कर रहा है.
So actually, even at the time, even the Catholic Church said that the royal family was chosen by God. So not just that they were elected.
The papal states and the Rome and that.
So basically manipulating people into believing that the king was a
divine person. Yes.
Yes. It's not. It was not just in France. It was a culture in all of Europe.
All of
because
Europe. Yeah, that's correct. Everywhere in Europe.
Because of the church, basically.
And because of that, what was given more, impetus? Absolute monarchy. अगर पूरे कंट्री के सभी लोग एक आदमी की बात मानने लग गए तो क्या हो जाएगा, वो मोनार्क बन जाएगा. He'll take advantage, and that's what had happened. अब जॉन लॉक पहली बार लोगों की आंखें खोलने के लिए Two Treatises of Government बुक में लिखते हैं that no king is having divine right. He is also just as a human being as we all are. So don't close your eyes and blindly believe on him. This was written by John Locke. Then comes your Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Oh, just a minute, we'll complete this. Rousseau, in his book The Social Contract, what he said? He said that if you don't want variation, he said that there is no need to have a king with divine right. You make your own government, and this government should be a form of representative government. Like we are having now in India, democratic form of government, representative form of government. This was told by Rousseau. Then finally it comes Montesquieu. Montesquieu क्या बोलते हैं? He wrote a book, The True Spirit of Law, something what it is? The Spirit of Law. In his book, The Spirit of Law, he says that never concentrate all the powers in one single hand. अगर आप सारे पावर्स एक ही आदमी के हाथ में दे दोगे तो क्या बनेगा, फिर से मोनार्की बन जाएगी. तो all the powers should be separated. He spoke about separation of powers. In India, do we have separation of powers?
Yes, we have different houses.
Yes, legislature, executive and judiciary. और पहली बार मॉन्टेस्क्यू की बातों को किसने अपने कंट्री में अप्लाई किया? It was done by the US. अमेरिकन को अभी इंडिपेंडेंस मिली थी ना ब्रिटेन से, तो उन्होंने सोचा कि मॉन्टेस्क्यू जो भी कह रहे हैं ना उसकी बातों को हम क्या करेंगे, अप्लाई करके देखेंगे.
But unfortunately for Frenchmen, the representative government idea led to Robespierre.
Yeah. Till this part, everything is clear?
Yes.
Okay. Any feedback? Anything that you want me to improve, or is the thing okay?
Everything was great.
So, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Vida. Keep studying.
Right.
Bye.
I wish that I did that quicker in school also.
Yeah.
I know, right? That this
They
would
don't
be the best
allow
thing
us
ever.
to take phone in school.
Oh,
No, for lower standards they don't.
my sister does.
Yeah,
She's
I
in
think
11th,
I
right?
think in most
My
schools
sister goes to afternoon shifts, right?
Yeah.
I go for morning. Like I come back home at till 1.
I read my sleeve.
I think in most schools they're allowed to take the phone, but it has to stay with the teacher for the most of the day. They only let you take it back at home.
Your school is allowed?
No, basically if you bring a phone to school, you have to deposit
Okay,
it to
we
the
have to
teacher.
deposit it.
Yeah, you have to deposit it and you collect it at the end.
You deposit it and you get it.
No, you deposit it, get it back at the end of the day.
We deposit the phone